The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone on the Mutual Broadcast Network and the IPBN Radio Network. If you'd like to send me an email, you know what? I don't care how tight your tinfoil hat is. Just send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, or to reach me here in the studio at xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website for the radio side, that is, www.xzoneradio.com. My guest this hour is a good friend of the X-Zone. He's been on our X-Zone TV show. Douglas DeLong is his name. And Douglas is a medical intuitive, spiritual teacher, counselor, chakra master, and past life therapist. He has written 2 books distributed internationally on subjects of ancient healing, spirituality, and psychic development. Born with the ability to see the human auras, chakras, spirit guides, and angels, Douglas has been reading books about psychic and metaphysical subjects since he was just a child. His stepfather's profession had the family on a steady move while he was growing up, and eventually his abilities started to wane from lack of use. It wasn't until he had a near-death experience at the age of 19 that he reawakened his childhood gifts. Joining me now from Saskatchewan at the Ancient Mystery School is our good friend Douglas DeLong. And Douglas, welcome back to the X-Zone, my friend. How are things in beautiful Saskatchewan?
It's great. It's nice and warm here. I'm glad I'm back on your show.
Douglas, you and your wife Carol operate the DeLong Ancient Mystery School, where you teach courses in spiritual and psychic development, ancient healing techniques, and Reiki. What is your most asked for course?
Probably the used to be the psychic development course that I taught, and Carol would help me. A lot of Reiki people will take Reiki classes, including Reiki Master, and I'm starting to get more people showing interest in taking my past life therapy course, teaching them how to become hypnotherapists and guiding a person through a past life. So I'm getting more responses on that right now. So it seems to be a shift towards that.
Now, you and I have talked many times in the past over the years that you've been a guest on the X-Zone, and it seems that not only are near-death experiences very popular these days, but also reincarnation stories. Now, before we get into the reincarnation, we've got about 2 minutes left, so could you just give us an encapsulated version of your own near-death experience?
Oh, okay. I've had several. The one major one that bothered me was at nighttime I was sleeping, and I had a deep dream when I went back to France at the time of the Revolution. It's like the Tale of Two Cities, and I was in a cart, my hands tied behind my back, being taken into the courtyard where the guillotine was. And the guards hauled me out, and they hauled me up the steps, and they put me on flat onto the surface. And instead of putting my head down, they put it up. So I was looking up at the guillotine, and I could see the white puffy clouds and the blue sky and the sun shining off the blade. And all of a sudden I heard the whoosh, and I felt this tremendous pain right in my throat. And I woke up from it, and I felt like my head was up by the headboard and my body was down below. It was absolutely really terrible pain. Carol had to do some Reiki on me for about 20 minutes or so.
My goodness.
Yeah, so it was quite profound, even though that's like 200 years ago.
Now, some of the people that come to you at the Ancient Mystery School must have stories that they tell you about their very own experiences, no matter if it's a near-death experience or a reincarnation experience. And Douglas, if it's all right with you, when we come back from this commercial break, I'd like to talk to you about some of the examples that you hear from your students, from your guests, and those that you meet wherever you go, and talk about the great work that you and Carol do. How does that sound, my friend?
Sounds great.
All right, you stand by. Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Douglas DeLong, and Douglas and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute break as we continue from our broadcast center here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, around the world on the Mutual Broadcast Network and the all-new IPBN Radio Network.
Why are the two top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11?
Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X-Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote,
"These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence."
So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, Exo Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's
www.genesisgrid.co.uk.
Discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-824-9875. 800-824-9875. That's 800-824-9875. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
If the Debt Ninja looks like a turtle. You never know these days. Exo Nation, Douglas DeLong is our special guest with the Ancient Mystery School. Their website is My goodness, where is your website, Douglas?
DouglasDeLong.com.
Oh, that's it. That always throws me off. Wait a minute, the Ancient Mystery School. Where is it? Oh, there it is, DouglasDeLong.com. All right, Douglas, we were talking about near-death experiences. How many have you had all told, my friend?
Well, I can remember having one very, very strong one when I was 19. I had a lot of surgery when I was in the hospital. And I was in severe pain and ended up slipping out of my body, floated through the room, floated over top the male nurse who was reading the sports section in the paper. This was at nighttime.
Wow.
Then I went around, floated into a glass room where there was a man lying there. He just had a heart attack. He opened his eyes and he saw me and he waved at me. But yet the male nurse didn't notice me at all. Ended up going down the hall into the morgue, and then I shot through the ceiling and started heading towards a light, and two angels, I believe, at least they felt like angels. They had a lot of white light and power around them. And they stopped me. They wouldn't let me go through to the other side. And they forced me to go back, said I had more to do. And while I was in that state, I didn't have any pain. I could see in almost like 360 degrees. It's just a marvelous feeling. Very, very peaceful. And then I shot down in through the ceiling of the hospital, and I looked down at my body. It was all white and pasty, and there's tubes coming around on my nose. And IV and everything, and then I slipped back in my body. I didn't want to go into it. It was almost like forcing my hands out to stop myself, and I did flip back into the body, and I woke up, and then at that time, the male nurse came over and checked me, and he knew my heartbeat was strong enough, so he'd give me something for pain finally, and that was a major near-death experience. I've had one since then, when I was had some surgery, and I'd get into deep state, start slipping out, and I go up there to talk to angels and guides, and they told me, no, I have to go back down. So I've had two, but the first one when I was 19 was probably the most profound one that I had ever received. And I've had some clients do that through the years, too.
Tell me, what about the feeling that you had while you were having your out-of-body experience or your near-death experience? Did you feel any sensations? Did you have the entire body? Were you aware of whether or not you had your body? Did you think about those that you might be leaving behind? What was going through your mind?
Well, it was very, very peaceful. All the pain, as I said, was completely gone. Before that, I was in extreme pain. And I was in an astral form or a soul form, like I had a ethereal body, and I just felt at peace, and I was ready to go, and I felt there's loved ones and others waiting for me over the other side. So I didn't feel like I was leaving anything behind here. I felt like I was ready to go, and I was quite at peace with it all. And that's when the angels stopped me, and they wouldn't let me go through that light to the other side. I have since then, when I sleep sometimes, or I'll have astral dreams, I'll travel up to the heavenly fields. I'll meet my mother or others that have passed over and talk to them and see amazing things up in the heavens.
What do you see? What is heaven like?
Well, it's very, very beautiful. You think of a gorgeous park here with flowers and trees and bushes and grass. And that's what it looks like. The flowers look very brilliant. They have an aura, a light around them.
Right.
And you'll see angels floating by, or sometimes you'll see a relative that's passed over. And you just go there, and sometimes there's these healing places where people have cancer, they die. They go over and they're into a healing temple with angels healing them for a while before they actually move on. So there's different levels on the heavenly fields. You can see these beautiful gardens. There's what's called the Akashic Records, or the Universal Library. And I get a lot of clients, when I work with them, I train them to astral travel, getting the energy flowing up and down through the body, and they'll slip out, and they'll go through these either wooden doors or white marble doors, and they'll go into a beautiful library, and they'll access their own soul records, so they'll be able to flip this ancient book open and start seeing some of their past lives unfolding. And so that's what I do a lot of. So that's up in the library in the heavens. So there's many levels. There's healing gardens, there's teaching temples, there's so many places up there. A lot of times I'll take clients up to a healing temple and have them lying on a table like a massage or Reiki table, and the angels and guides will come around them and work on them. And then I will program them to remember that, and that each time they fall asleep for the next 5 to 6 weeks, they will go up to that healing temple or healing room for the angels to work on them. And so that's a lot what I do with them. So when a person comes to see me for past life regression, they're not just getting their regression. Sometimes I'm training them to do soul travel work, going up to the Akashic Records or even to healing temples. And some people get really, really good. They can go to the Universal Library, access all sorts of knowledge about themselves, and even go into teaching temples and have guides and angels work with them.
Douglas, your description of heaven is beautiful. It's all that we here in North America, in the lush areas where we live, would recognize that. But let us say that someone from the Middle East, where it is desert, it's desolate, would they see their heaven differently than we see ours?
I think they would all get some version of a beautiful heaven with a garden. Some of them might see it like a beautiful part of Hawaii or the Caribbean, or it might be a desert place where they have beautiful rocks and trees nearby, like an oasis. So a lot of them will get similarities to where they grow up, but maybe the better aspects of it.
Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Douglas DeLong, and he is in Saskatchewan, Canada. He and his wife, Carol, operate the DeLong Ancient Mystery School, and their website is www.douglasdelong.com. All right, Douglas, let's talk about reincarnation, a very popular topic these days. What can you tell us about reincarnation?
Well, everybody is reincarnated. We have old souls and new souls, and old souls have been around, coming back over and over for a very, very long time. And when someone asks me, well, how many lifetimes have I lived here, there isn't any set rule. You can be 9 times coming back to Earth or 90 times. And what you do is each time you die, your soul leaves your physical form, vibrates the higher frequency, and goes back up in the heavenly fields. And there you're analyzing your past lives, and you're talking to angels and guides. And when you're finally ready, you're healed, you'll meet a group. I call them the Elohim, or Council of Elders, where they'll talk to you and they'll find a place best suited for you to return to Earth. And it will be one that's for your greatest soul growth. They may look at seeing you're going to be a man this time or a woman, be going to Egypt, to Africa, or what country, who are your parents going to be, and they try to line things up for you. So it's like a contract you have, and then you come back and you fulfill it. And as you get better and better at it, eventually you don't have to come back to Earth. You can just stay up there. You break that karmic bond. And that's what you want to do. You keep coming back over and over, finally learn your lessons and move up there. And once you do that, you can stay up there, or also even work as a spirit guide for people.
Okay. How do I know what my past lives have been like? How do I know what I have been reincarnated from?
Okay, that's a really good question. I've got my third book that came out a year and a half ago called Past Lives for Beginners. I have a lot of exercises and techniques in it that show you how to access some of your past life information. And sometimes if you're attracted to certain movies, like a Roman movie that draws you, or certain parts of the world you want to travel to, you feel comfortable, that can be a link to the previous lifetime. Sometimes you can be relaxing just in a very deep altered state, and all of a sudden you get this vision of you walking along an ancient street in Rome and seeing your feet looking down at the paving stones and just feeling yourself there, or Egypt or something like that. And sometimes you'll see yourself sitting there and relaxing, all of a sudden you appear to be on a horse just riding it in England. Some people will go out and buy certain types of furniture, particularly antiques, because they're drawn towards it because of the past life influence.
So what is the main purpose of having all these different lives, coming back, dying, coming back, dying? What is the ultimate purpose?
The ultimate purpose is to advance your soul, make yourself more spiritually enlightened, so you become like Buddha or Jesus, an enlightened being, and having learned all your lessons, becoming more compassionate, and being able to go back up to heaven and stay there after learning your lessons. And you become a better person, a better soul for it. So that's the idea. You're not just here on the earth to live, but you're supposed to experience things and learn from it and grow. So it's for your greatest spiritual growth. Your soul evolves to a higher level.
So we continue our growth, but when does it stop? And what happens when it does stop? Where do we go? Do we become angels, or is this a time where we actually kick off our shoes, take the wings off, and enjoy eternity?
I think that last part about enjoying eternity, basically, you've become enlightened. You can enjoy being in the heavenly fields, exploring things, seeing beautiful gardens, going into temples, looking at crystals, teaching temples, healing temples, going into the Universal Library, or meeting angels and guides and just communicating with them, so you can be up there and just enjoying it. And when you're up there, it's time is different. It just flows. It's not like time here. It's hard to explain. It's just completely different. It's just there, and it just exists.
Exo Nation, Douglas DeLong is our special guest. He and his wife Carol are the two people behind DeLong Ancient Mystery School in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan in Canada. And his website is www.douglasdelong.com. Douglas, you and I have to take our news break here at the bottom of the hour for the Mutual Broadcast News. So please stand by. When we come back, if you would be able to share some of the stories, some of the experiences that those of the people who have gone to your school have shared with you, that would be great.
Okay, look forward to it.
All right, Douglas DeLong is our guest. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us live and around the world on the Mutual Broadcast Network and on the all-new IPBN Radio Network. Whatever you do, don't go away.
Child welfare officials have warned an organization that installed 2 baby boxes at firehouses where mothers can drop off unwanted newborns anonymously to remove them, saying they question their safety and whether women who use them could face child abandonment charges. 6 hospitals in Arizona have installed drawers in their emergency rooms that allow women to drop off infants anonymously, although state law neither authorizes nor prohibits them. Nearly 2 months after a woman was found severely burned on the Crow Indian Reservation, the tribe is still seeking information about the case from federal investigators. The victim was found on April 17th in a field near the border between the Northern Cheyenne and Crow Reservation with burns over most of her body. Doctors told the woman's family she had walked about 3 miles before collapsing. Reservation residents believe the woman was set on fire. Mutual Broadcast News. Depend on it.
Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance. Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or Amazon.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-837-1286 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-837-1286 to take your call now. Call 800-837-1286. That's 800-837-1286. Again, 800-837-1286.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. Douglas DeLong is my special guest. www.douglasdelong.com. Douglas, reincarnation. Can you share some of the stories that you have been told by the people who come to visit you and Carol at the DeLong Ancient Mystery School?
By the way, I've got some stories from some of my clients in my book, Past Lives for Beginners. I go in there and describe some of the experiences that the clients have had. So if anybody wants to explore that further, you can just pick up my books or go to Amazon.com or wherever and pick them up. And a couple of my clients have had some interesting events happen, experiences. I've had one particular client that remember going back to the time of Jesus. He lived then, and he remembers seeing Jesus, what he looked like, and then all of a sudden when Jesus was being arrested and going to be crucified, he remembers seeing the eyes, and he knew it wasn't Jesus. The color of the eyes were different, and he said, they've got the wrong guy. And basically it meant that it was his twin brother that was taking his place. So he's quite upset over that, but he did remember that strongly. And I put that into my current book I'm writing about Jesus, too, about his twin brother. And I've had other clients go back in time. Another one about the time of Jesus, he went back and saw what he looked like, what was going on. So it was quite fascinating to get another experience regarding that. I've had some clients who've had health problems. Sometimes a lady will not be able to go the full term with the child, has something go wrong. And that particular time when I was working with the lady, she ended up going back to time when she was in the States in the 1800s, and she was pregnant. And she went into labor, and she's lying on the kitchen floor. It's a black and white tiled floor near the stove, and she couldn't reach the old-fashioned telephone back then. And she bled out, and that's how she died. And when she came out of that, she realized that was influencing her now. So she ended up working on it, releasing the pain and the anger. And she was actually this time, in this lifetime, able to go the full term and have a baby, and it helped change and influenced her life greatly. So that was one event with one lady. I had another lady had same problems. She could never have go the full term with a child, and she went back in time to ancient Rome, where she's in one of the towns south of Rome, and she's pregnant, and there's an earthquake, and she's trying to get out of the town, away from the rocks and the walls, and the rocks crumble and fall on her, and that's how she crushes herself and her baby. So when she remembered that, she let the pain go and the emotions, she was able to go the full term in this lifetime too and have a baby. So sometimes when a person gets a past life experience, it's very, very helpful in releasing some physical pains that they have in this lifetime. I get some people that have fears of certain things like spiders or fear of heights, and when they recognize that sometimes it comes from the past, they're able to look at it and help release it.
So why is it we hear so many different people when they talk about reincarnation? Like this person, the first person that you were telling us about, who saw that it wasn't really Jesus, it was his twin. Are we talking about James?
No, actually there was Judah Thomas. Thomas is the Aramaic word for twin.
Okay.
So his twin brother and him were born. Jesus was the older, and his twin was almost identical, except twins can have different colored eyes, too. I did some research on that. So when I read that, it just went, oh, wow, that fellow wasn't off his mark when he had that experience. And so I didn't have, anyhow, I was saying I've got that in my book about Jesus, and I'm just finishing up now, and I look forward to getting it out. But, yeah, when people go back in past lives, sometimes it's like they're watching it in a movie, and other times it's like they're right there. They're literally reliving the whole scenes, the feelings, emotions. And one of the strongest senses is smell. They can smell things. They can smell incense, dust.
I don't know what just happened there.
Oh, okay. Well, we're still here.
Yeah. All right. Let me see here. No? Craig? No? Okay, go on. I'm sorry about that. Doug, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here physically.
Okay. Yeah, so let's continue talking about this case.
Okay. Yeah, so I said about the fellow with Jesus, and I had another fellow go back in time and see Jesus, what he looked like, what he was doing. And he also mentioned that he had a brother that looked like his twin.
Right.
And Jesus would have had an extended family, a lot of brothers and cousins, and they all would have looked very similar. So sometimes there's stories about Jesus when he supposedly died. He came back to life again, and he rose from the dead, so to speak. But it may very well be his brother had died, and Jesus was still alive, and he was still out preaching and teaching and guiding others, and people would see him, so they would get the idea that he'd come back to life. And so that kind of adds to a lot of the stories in the Bible when you read about Jesus was crucified, but suddenly he's in Galilee, and he's out there talking to all these disciples and people, even though he's supposed to have been dead. So that could kind of make sense when you think about it.
What is the difference between reincarnation as we're talking about it now, and when somebody has a past life regression with a hypnotherapist? Okay.
Well, there's very many ways of getting regressed. Sometimes a past life therapist or even a psychic will be able to guide you, get you into the right state. Now, you can do a guided meditation. I do that with a lot of people. I get them to relax, do deep breathing, and I do energy work, getting this energy flowing up and down through the chakras. As the chakra flow energy works through, they get very, very relaxed into a deep altered state. And then I will slowly guide them in the past lives, getting them to go into garden, meeting their angels, and then let them go on their own. Now, sometimes a psychiatrist or someone will try to hypnotize them to get back, but one out of every 3 people can be hypnotized. Whereas if you're doing a guided meditation and you add something like chakra flow meditation, guiding the energy up and down through a person's body, they have a better response. They go deeper. I usually get about an 85% success rate that way. So when people say they can't be hypnotized, but they can be guided back because they feel like they're still in control and they can get the information themselves.
So how do we know when somebody is being regressed that they're telling us the truth and they're not telling us about a secret desire or a subconscious desire?
Okay. It's a really, really good question. Some people think, a lot of these women, they think they were Cleopatra in the past life, which is nonsense, because that's what they dream or wish they had been. But when they actually get a regression, they'll go back to a lifetime they never even thought about or dreamed about, and they'll see and experience themselves as an individual that they never thought they could be. And sometimes there's a lot of traits and characteristics that they have now when they go back to their lifetime, they'll be able to trace where it came from. So it kind of gives them guidance or more proof of who they are. For instance, I had a man come for a regression years ago, down on the couch. He went in very deep state. He went back to the Western time, and he was hiding behind a rock. He had his huge Haas Cartwright type of hat on, and he's looking out at the water because he's thirsty, wants water, but he can't go anywhere because there's the Indians around. He's afraid they're going to get him. So he says the hell with it, and he jumps on his horse and he starts riding away. As he does, he looks behind him over his shoulder, and he sees an Indian stand up behind a rock outcropping, and the Indian lets fly with an arrow, nails him in his back, and he falls off the horse. And he smells the dust, and then he says, "Damn hat." And when he comes out of the regression, he sits up and looks at me and goes, "Oh, that's why I don't like hats. That's why I don't wear any hats." So he says, all my men that work for me wear farm hats and other hats, but I just won't wear a hat. Now I know why. So it shows you something as simple as that. I've even had one lady, she couldn't stand peaches, and she went back in time. She remembered watching her mother's cook baking peach pies, and she made this face, went, "Yuck, I hate peaches." So it's quite profound, the information you can get, and you can get the traits and characteristics come out. And I still have fears of tarantulas. That's one of my worst fears. And I remember going into a temple and getting into where all the gold and treasure was. And as I was putting it in sacks and stealing it all, I got out into a hallway, and suddenly there was like a boom, some type of trap, and I got blocked in. Next thing you know, there was all these tarantulas landing on me and biting me, and that's how I ended up dying in that particular lifetime. So that's where I think I got the fear of tarantulas from.
Now, in past lives, or in reincarnated lives, do we surround ourselves with the same people that we have in this life?
Oh, yeah, that's a very, very good point you just brought up. We come back in same groups, same families, same countries, and sometimes someone that was our mother or our brother in the last lifetime, maybe our father in this lifetime. And when we go through regression, some cases we'll see that person, who he was, what he looked like, and what the relationship was in that lifetime. So we will come back and play the roles again, but slightly different, to be able to pass on, get above it, and move on. So I've had some people go back in time where a husband and wife weren't getting along, and the husband killed the wife, and they went through into another lifetime, and this time the wife killed the husband.
Oh, my God.
And then the third time, when they came out of it, they were both sitting looking at each other and thinking, oh, no, maybe we shouldn't be married now. So it's quite interesting. So that's a dual regression where they get two people in the room. It's very rare, and they both go back to the same lifetime, experience it from their own perspectives.
Well, Your Honor, it was like this. We've been doing this for centuries. I kill her, she kills me. I kill her, she kills me. So whatever you're going to do it to me now, because in the next life, it's her turn to kill me.
Something like that. So it's probably just good getting a divorce or something. It might be easier. But that's the idea. You're supposed to heal from the relationships and move on. A lot of times people will see someone, they'll recognize the eyes, and that will draw them towards an individual, and they'll experience a relationship in this lifetime. And sometimes they keep the relationship because it's meant to be, or sometimes they move on, they break the relationship, and they break that karmic debt.
How significant is karma?
Karma is very, very significant. When you can learn to do things to help others and try to create good karma, or what they call dharma, things will flow easier for you. Your soul will become more evolved, and you'll raise your consciousness. You'll be able to move on. And if you have a very good lifetime, this time helping people and doing good things, the next lifetime you come back into will be less stressful, less painful. It'll be more of a holiday.
More of a holiday?
Well, compared to what some lifetimes, some people breeze through life. They just come and money flows to them. They're healthy and they have a wonderful time. And that's probably because in the past life, they may have dealt with a lot of their issues back then, and they're not having as many issues this lifetime.
Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Douglas DeLong, the DeLong Ancient Mystery School, www.douglasdelong.com. What has been the most startling case that you have heard over the years?
Probably the one I mentioned originally about Jesus, when the guy said the eyes were the wrong color. The man he saw as Jesus had blue eyes, but the fellow that was being crucified had brown eyes, and the man was just blown out of the water, and he was actually freaked out when he came out of it. And I never saw him again, but I did have one other one. A man came to see me. He was regressed back in time, and he remembered being in, I think, the Toronto area, and his wife had left him, and he had this small boy named Bobby. So he ended up moving to Calgary, and this is the late 50s, early 60s, and he also remembered drinking something called Orange Knee-High Pop, which was very popular in the Southern Ontario area back then. I remember drinking it when I was a kid. And he's in Calgary, and he's talking about the place he works, talking about the ring he wears, the type of Masonic ring, and he even gives his address where he lives. And then he talks about an election going on. He has to get up on the roof, fix the antenna back then, so he can get the reception properly. And then finally ends up having a heart attack. He ends up in the hospital, dying, and his son Bobby is there beside him as he passes over. And now, when he comes out of it, he remembers everything. He's really, I guess, shocked, stunned by it. And essentially, if he wanted to, he could probably go and got the records from Calgary of his death records, and even be able to track his son from that lifetime now and see his older son. So it would have been kind of a freaky situation for him.
How do you deal with skepticism when it comes back to reincarnation?
Well, what I say to people is I don't argue with them. I just say, well, you're born in the body, you have a human soul. They say, yeah. When you die, where do you go? You go to heaven? Yeah. Oh, okay, well, then you just described the reincarnation. It just happens again. If it can happen once, why can't it happen a second time? Like, I've got that argument in my book, Past Lives for Beginners.
Okay, so say that again. How do you deal with the skepticism?
Well, when someone is saying that they don't believe in reincarnation, they're being skeptical about it. If you say to them, well, you're a human soul living in a body, yes. In other words, your soul came into a physical form. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then when you die, what happens? Well, you go up back to heaven.
Right.
He says, well, that's what happens once, then why can't it happen a second time?
Yeah, but why doesn't the Bible support the aspect or the possibility of reincarnation?
Well, it did. There's a couple of parts in the Bible that are still there to make reference to reincarnation, but most of it was taken out back in, I think, 325 A.D. by the Council of Nicaea, and what's his name? Constantine. He was in charge of it.
All right, the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah. Council of Nicaea, 325 A.D.
Hey, listen, you and I have to take...
They ripped out everything that was in there about reincarnation as much as they could.
Douglas, stand by. You and I have to take our break. Exo Nation, Douglas DeLong is my guest. www.douglasdelong.com is his website, and Douglas and I will be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone on the other side of this commercial break. Whatever you do, don't go away. We will be back.
and the mystic have been on an age-old relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism and ancient science, delving into the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Golda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Art School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are on week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Here's George Foreman with Invent Health.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at Invent Health.
Call Invent Health today for free information. Invent Health has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. Invent Health can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call Invent Health today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put Invent Health in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-4158. That's 1-800-352-4158. Again, 1-800-352-4158. A fee-based company. Welcome back, everyone. Douglas DeLong is our special guest. The Ancient Mystery School, ready? www.douglasdelong.com. First of all, Douglas, thanks so much for joining us. Please give my very best to Carol. But let's get back to my question about the Bible confirming or making reference to reincarnation. To my knowledge, there is no reference. And if people go back to heaven and go back to heaven, shouldn't there be a reference somewhere?
I did some research on it years ago, and I think I've got it in one of my books. I talk about what particular book of the Bible and the chapter and verse and all that. And one of them is in Matthew, I believe. I can't remember verse 6 or whatever. And it talks about someone being the reincarnation or someone coming back from a lifetime before. And that's one reference. There's one in the Old Testament. I can't remember again what book it's in, but it makes a reference to reincarnation. So there are two in there. They just take a little research to find them. Again, I wish I had it written down which ones they are in. But my book, Past Lives for Beginners, I think my first one, has the reference to the book and the chapter.
Now, where are your books available, Doug?
Well, you can get them anywhere in the world. You can go to bookstores. You can go to Amazon.com. Google, Barnes & Noble. They go into a regular bookstore. You can pick them up. And again, you can pick them up online. A lot of people buy them at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca.
Now, you were telling me earlier tonight that your books are now being translated, and one is being translated into French.
Yeah, my last book, Past Lives for Beginners, was put into French about a year ago, and my other books are all out in several languages. They're out in traditional Chinese characters, they're in Portuguese, Romanian, Russian, so they're out in about 10 or 12 languages now. So it's really cool when I'm looking at them, the Portuguese ones now and the Chinese ones. It's neat seeing them now.
I guess it would be. And Exonation Ancient Teachings for the Beginners and Ancient Healing Techniques are published by Llewellyn Worldwide, and their website is www.llewellyn.com. Listen, Doug, we've got about 2 minutes left. What are your final thoughts for the members of the worldwide listening audience of the X Zone tonight?
Well, I think you should explore your own past lives and try to learn techniques how to go to the Akashic Records, do some soul traveling. And by using techniques like I have in my YouTube, there's a May chant 10 minutes long. That gets you into an altered state. If you can do stuff like that, doing chants, M-A-Y, feeling the vibration through your head, and trying to work the energy through your body, you can get into an altered state and start accessing past life information, going to the Akashic records, and just opening up more your gifts, more of your abilities. If you do the May chant, you may feel a tingling and sensation in your head, and you may start opening up more of your psychic and spiritual abilities. So I strongly suggest trying the May chant and picking up my books, Ancient Teachings for Beginners, Ancient Healing Techniques, and the newest one, Past Lives for Beginners. There's all sorts of exercises, techniques, and stories in there. In my first book, Past Lives or Ancient Teachings for Beginners, has a story about Jesus lying on his deathbed, talking about how his brother died in his place, and it's quite interesting. Wow. People may enjoy that.
What is the May chant?
May chant, M-A-Y. I'll just do it quickly.
Sure.
May. Just like that. The vibration goes inside your head, affects the pineal and pituitary glands. They start to vibrate. As they do, you start getting endorphins and other secretions being released into your bloodstream. It helps to create the vibration of those two glands, which will then open up the crown and the third eye chakras, allow energy to start flowing down. And it helps to amplify or develop your own psychic abilities.
Douglas, again, thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to my friend. Continued success, and like I said, my very best to Carol. And I look forward to the next time you join us back here in the X Zone.
Great. Thanks for having me on. Bye.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye now. Bye. X Zone Nation, I'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we talk to Elizabeth Joyce, the famed psychic, here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.